We're here in Fresno, California on a nice hot day. Tomorrow it's going to be 102. Sunday it's going to be 109. Our mayor once said on national television that more people would leave Fresno if they could, but they can't because their shoes are stuck in the asphalt. And that is the predicament we find ourselves in here. A beautiful area, but it's really hot in the summer. So what we want to do in this video is focus on how to have everything do great in the summer, plants that like 100-degree weather, or at least perform very well in it. Tune in to see how to make your outdoor environment thriving in the summer. Our channel focuses on everyday gardening and everyday landscaping and everyday designing while focusing on the soil. If any of that interests you, subscribe to our channel and learn more about it. Every Sunday we post a new video that we think you'll find interesting. You can also download our soil-based gardening guide for free, which is the whole secret to all our successful gardening. The secret to this garden, which we tuned into after they used chemical-based gardening, we changed it to soil-based gardening. So get those tips for free. This is a topic that I have earned my credentials on, and that is dealing with heat and thriving in the summer. We like it so hot here you can't think, and we have a day like that today and tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Lots of hot summer days. I've experienced over 60 years of that here in Fresno, California. And so that's the focus of this video, and I'm well qualified to deliver the goods on it. I'm John Valentino, president of John and Bobs Corporation, and I'm a landscape contractor and a landscape architect and a general engineering contractor. I'm here with Chip Valentino, who hates the heat. He likes to just lay around in the shade when it gets over 80 degrees. So we need to help Chip along on these summer days and plant big spreading deciduous trees to cast that shade for him and make our outdoor environments much better. So the good news for you is there's something more important than the plants you use. You can almost use any plant and have it do well in 100-degree weather, even sometimes if it's not in the right spot from an exposure standpoint, even if it's getting too much sun. We can help that with really healthy soil, and that's the key to one of the big keys to plants doing well in the summer. This garden has an interesting example, a big red Japanese maple, which people tend to want to plant them everywhere, and as you know, in hot areas they'll burn, especially in the full sun. So you're somewhat limited if you don't want to see leaf burn. And this big red Japanese maple here was burning extensively every summer until we changed the whole protocol here at this garden, where they're using completely different garden products. Before, it was all merit to kill bugs and fungicide to kill fungus, which they both had a lot of in the summer. We addressed both of those by changing it over to soil-based gardening. And so by not only under this maple, but in the whole garden, building life in the soil, using concentrated compost and all kinds of products that attract and feed complex soil microbes like bacteria, fungi, protozoa, good nematodes. We've changed the soil around this Japanese maple, and this Japanese maple now goes through the summer without burning. It's a really good example. We showed you that also in a prior video where we talk about growing redwoods in Fresno that don't like summer heat because they're used to growing along the coast of California where there's summer fog. And we don't have summer fog in Fresno in the summer when it's 105 degrees, there's no fog. And so you have to simulate fog with great soil and water. So we want to build that microbial life under a Japanese maple or under any other plant that maybe is a little borderline, getting too much sun, or just trying to tolerate heat in general. The key to that is make sure that soil is healthy. One good example of that If you have really lousy soil and you're planting something like a red Japanese maple, in this case, we've done years of topical applications, and I don't think it was properly planted in the beginning. But if you are going to start from scratch and you're going to plant it in a spot that's too hot, maybe in heavy soil, over excavate. In other words, dig a hole way bigger than you think you need, and then use the native soil, but mix it very thoroughly with something like amend or some kind of organic matter, and then use lots of our blend, which has mycorrhiza and all kinds of concentrated compost. You don't want to use completely different soil because you want water to be able to drain out from the excavated area to the native soil, and it doesn't do that well if you use a completely different kind of soil. So I like the idea of using the native soil, amending it, planting it a little bit high so it drains, and using lots of blend, which is our 3 products of Optimize, Maximize, and Nourish Biosol. So the soil, more important than anything in having summer plants thrive when it's over 100 degrees. So 100 degrees is tough for plants and us to tolerate, and one of the secrets is to mulch the soil. It protects the soil. It really allows the soil to build life more quickly. We've noticed a big difference when we use our products if we use mulch after we use the products, or if we leave the soil bare and allow that heat to bear down on it and water to pound on it. That mulch is a really good protective layer. I advocate for coarser mulches because they stay put better. Gardeners tend to want to blow right over the top of mulch, and it blows it all over. And if you use a really nice looking attractive humus, which a lot of people like, say something real dark in color, that's great, but it gets blown around and blown away real quickly. After 3 or 4 months, you got no more mulch. So we tend to gravitate more towards heavier. We have this shredded cedar product that stays put, knits together, and lasts years. There's also other types of walk-on bark and coarser material that stays put. Use 1 inch to 2 inches of mulch. Don't pile it around the base of the plant, but you can have a little bit right up to the base of the plant, and then 1 to 2 inches thick everywhere else. It will make a big difference in how everything grows. So, a couple of favorite summer plants of mine that do great when it's 100 degrees and grow like crazy. At this garden we have this Angelonia with a beautiful big flowered zinnia behind it. Those are doing fantastic. They love 100-degree temperature as long as moisture is proper. So that's the key. That is not a real water efficient plant, meaning it's not something you can water once every other week. So you need to be very vigilant on the moisture, and I would say that's an accurate description of growing things in 100-degree heat in general. Now we're using mulch to try to make it so we don't have to water as much. We're infusing the soil with life. That makes a big difference. But we're also making sure that there's some kind of regular watering occurring that keeps, say, summer annuals like zinnias and Angelonia moist all the time. We don't want to overwater. Standing water in annuals is death when it gets over 100 degrees. That's really counterproductive in gardening. We want to water as little as possible, but we want it to be, in the case of annuals, a nice constant moist all the time and never standing water. And the way to do that is with good mulching, good watering practices, and good soil. Even at this garden, we've got some water efficient, relatively water efficient trees. The crepe myrtle loves summer heat and does fantastic in the summer. That's as soon as it gets hot, it starts blooming, and it doesn't stop blooming until almost until the leaves fall off. And that's a tree that grows in many parts of the United States. All the plants I mentioned do well in the summer, and a couple more that you might be interested in. We established the point that it isn't all about plant selection, because you can plant things that don't really like summer heat, like redwoods and Japanese maples, and compensate for that with the right soil amendments and the right watering. But plants that love the heat and prosper in the heat are one of my favorites, and we have several different colors here, and they just, when it gets hot, they just grow like crazy, is a variety of hibiscus. The botanical species is Syriacus. Most people know it as Rose of Sharon. And they come in a lot of different colors, and when it gets hot, that actually is a deciduous large shrub that you could turn into a small tree that just blooms like crazy, available in different colors, not many problems with pests or disease. And so it, just by picking that plant, is well suited to heat. You don't need to do anything special. Even if your soil isn't very good, it's probably going to take off and do great. That's not the kind of hibiscus you see when you go to Hawaii, which is a much more tropical look. This one is perfect for our hot inland valley in Fresno. It's our own type of hibiscus called Rose of Sharon. Another plant that usually, I think this is another good advertisement here at this garden for our regimen of getting life in the soil over the last 5 years, is the way the daylilies bloom here. Daylilies in Fresno and other hot areas kind of go dormant in the middle of the summer. They don't do much in the middle of the summer because it gets too hot. And here we've been able to get lots of bloom out of them right through the summer, and we have some spectacular ones here. So that's more of a spring plant that hangs on in the summer, you know, does fine, doesn't have any threat of dying, but usually doesn't bloom that well in the summer. Here we've got it blooming well, and that's a testament to soil health. And you can build that soil health with easy topical applications of the types of concentrated products we talk about in these videos. If this video sparked any curiosity about any plants here or any plants that you know, ask us in the comments below. We'll answer you very quickly. So how do you deal with heat? Your soil is the key. If you want to fix everything about your soil and make your soil as healthy as possible, go to our website. We've got convenient, economical ways to do that we've been using in our own work for many, many years. Our website is johnandbobs.com. Last week's was Spirea Anthony Waterer, and I think the full botanical name is Spirea japonica Anthony Waterer, but the cultivar, or the special variety, is Anthony Waterer. Genus is Spirea. A lot of people just call that Spirea, but the proper name is Spirea Anthony Waterer. And we thank you for your answers. This week we've got a really interesting plant. I'd be curious if any of you recognize it, and click the link below to submit your answer, and let's see how you do. If you look back at our video on that local hospital where we turned it into a garden that thrives without much water, it's interesting that the same thing is the key, the health of the soil.